So it's been a long time since I've had a new or recent capture card. The most recent capture card that I have is over 4 years old, and then the one that I use on a regular basis for both all of my streams and all of my YouTube recordings is over 6 years old. Well, today AVerMedia sent over their Live Gamer Ultra S. Now, this thing has VRR support for all of the new consoles. It supports up to 1080 240 hertz, and it's got a bunch of other features. So let's go ahead and see how this thing performs, and we'll see if it'll be replacing any of my current capture cards. All right, so let's take a look at the physical device itself. I've already got it out of the box, but we'll take a quick look here. We've got, standard packaging on the front here, 4K 60 HDR pass-through, 240 hertz capture, low latency. We got some images on the side here. We have, another really quick thing in a bunch of different languages, and we have some specifications and system requirements, which we'll go over as well. Inside the box here, we have the actual Live Gamer itself. We have a USB-C to USB-A cable for connecting it to your computer. It came with an HDMI 2.0 cable and a quick start guide as well. So this is the actual device itself, and it's nice and small. It fits within a palm. It has a really kind of low-key design. It's not overly flashy. It's not too crazy here. We have the in and out HDMI ports on the same side, and then on the opposite side, we have the USB-C port there. And then on the bottom, we have some rubberized feet if you want to put it on top of something. I don't know about anybody else, but I never put these on top of anything. I kind of have them hidden in the back, but if you do want to have it visible, it's a decent looking device, and it will sit there as long as your cables aren't pulling on it too hard. So as mentioned, the device itself isn't overly flashy. There's not a whole bunch of RGB. This LED light here is actually an indicator. So depending on the color and the pattern, it's actually telling you what is currently happening with the capture card. So the flashing green means that it's connected to a USB 2.0 device. I'm just using this for showcase right now. But a solid blue would say that it's ready. Slow flashing red means that it's recording. Slow flashing blue means that it's streaming, and that's only through their proprietary software. Fast flashing red means that your disk is almost full. Solid red means that there was an error, either streaming or recording. And the flashing red means that there's some kind of device anomaly or error happening. So it is nice that they do have an LED indicator and that the RGB that's built into it is for a purpose. So now in terms of specs, the device uses USB 3.2 Gen 1, which is 5 gigabits per second. The video input and output are HDMI 2.0. It does not have a separate audio input and output, so those are all done through the HDMI 2.0 ports. Now, the maximum pass-through resolutions are 2160 at 60 Hz with HDR or VRR enabled, 1440p at 144 Hz with HDR and VRR enabled, or 1080p 240 Hz with HDR and VRR supported. The maximum captures are 2160 at 60 frames per second, 1440 at 144, and 1080p at 240, or 1440p 30 frames per second HDR, 1080p 60 frames per second with HDR. Now, they also have a maximum VRR recording listed, but this is only when used through their streaming software for VRR recording, and you can do 1440p 60, 1080p 120, and 1080p 240, but again, that's only when going through AVerMedia's streaming center. Now, in terms of the supported resolutions for strictly input, they allow for 2160p, they allow for ultra-wide 1440p, which is 3440 by 1440. They also allow for 1440p, they allow for ultra-wide 1080p, which is 2560 by 1080, 1080p, 1080i, 720p, 576p, and 480p as well. And another really nice feature of this capture card is that it supports a bunch of different video formats, with YUY12, NV12, RGB24, P010, which is HDR, and then the MJPEG format as well. So in terms of quality, it looks really good. The text is crisp. Everything looks really, really nice. I didn't have any issues. I used a bunch of different video formats and didn't notice a significant change in the overall quality. This current gameplay is recorded at 1440p 120 hertz. Using my laptop. Overall, everything looks really good, really crisp. I didn't have any major issues. I also went ahead and captured with a few different devices, so I used the Nintendo Switch, which also worked really, really well. I also ended up using the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, both of which also looked good, had no compatibility issues with any of these three devices. Now, in terms of latency, I don't have any particular equipment right now to test latency properly, but I did do all of those tests for the quality using the preview within OBS. So I was able to kind of see how the latency felt in those situations, and it was definitely noticeable, especially on a first person shooter game like Counter-Strike. I was having issues keeping things the way I wanted it to. It definitely feels weird trying to do that compared to normally having it directly to the monitor. So it was definitely noticeable. There was definitely a noticeable latency in terms of the actual capturing of the device itself. The pass through was totally fine, but the capture latency was definitely noticeable. Now, if you would like me to test latency in future reviews, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I can look into investing in some equipment or products that will help me go ahead and test that. Now, getting it set up in OBS was extremely easy. It's going to show up as the Live Gamer Ultra S GC553 Pro. I have it set to 1920 by 1080. It's currently on the ROG Ally. The FPS is set to match. I have the video format set to any, but again, I can go ahead and switch that to one of the other supported formats. The color space, they have Rec 709, 601, 2100, and 2100 HLG. And overall, very easy to get set up. Now, here is AVerMedia Streaming Center. Now, personally, I wouldn't be using this for anything relating to streaming. I would just use OBS. But if you do want to go ahead and record with VRR, you're going to want to go ahead and use this software. You can stream and still have VRR going through your pass-through, but it just won't appear as VRR in the recording and the stream if you use OBS. So do keep that in mind. But if you do want to record the VRR, I don't personally know exactly what that entails or how that really changes. Maybe a little bit of tearing will appear. We'll have to do it through the streaming center if you want that VRR support. Now, it's really easy to use. You can just go ahead and press record. You can change a bunch of your settings in here as well. Now, you can also change settings for the device by going through their other piece of software, which is the Assist Central Pro. This is basically the hub for all of their devices. They've kind of split up their programs into a bunch of different programs. Everything kind of lives through the Assist Central Pro. So you can see here that the Assist Central Pro is here, the Streaming Center is here, and then you also have a Streaming Center plugin for OBS. So we'll go ahead and check that one out as well. I've already have it installed. You update your firmware through here. You can change your resolution settings and your HDMI compatibility through here. And you can really easily see what's going on right now through the device. You can change a bunch of settings, HDCP protection on or off, automatic VRR on or off, and all of that right through here. So the Streaming Center plugin seems to just allow you to adjust the settings and functionality of the capture card. So if we go ahead and go manage, we can see that we can just launch the Assist Central Pro that we just had open directly through OBS. So that's nice if we want to change HDCP or anything like that, VRR, turn it on or off. We can do that. We can also do a multi-channel audio, but OBS has that functionality kind of built in, so I'm not entirely sure how that would work. Maybe it's the voice chat and stuff with a console. I don't have a console to plug into this right now, so not really sure entirely how the rest of this goes through. The info was just what I just showed, so it doesn't really say all too much extra. And the help and advice, you can go ahead and email them if you want to know a little bit more or suggest a feature. So that's cool. But yeah, overall, I would mainly be using this within OBS. I would only rely on Streaming Center if I really needed that VRR capture. But I don't personally see the benefit in that. So I would really just do everything through OBS personally. Now, the pricing for the Ultra S is really good. It's regularly $150, but it's currently down to $130 on sale, which I think is a really great price. Overall, I think AVerMedia is doing a really good job with pricing this. They are pricing it lower than a majority of their competitors. For example, Elgato's HD60X, which has very similar capabilities, is an extra $10 regular price, and it's still more expensive on sale for very similar capture and pass-through capabilities. So I think AVerMedia is doing a really good job here. They're providing a lot of value at this price point, and for VRR, there still isn't an insane amount of options out there. It's still, mainly the 3 or 4 companies that you see regularly for game capture, and I think that the Live Gamer Ultra S is doing a great job here. And of course, there will be links down in the description below where you can go ahead and check out the Live Gamer Ultra S for yourself. Those will be affiliate links, and they do help support the channel if you do use them. Now, in terms of what I'm going to be using this for, I think this is actually going to end up replacing my EVGA XR1, XR1 Pro actually, as my secondary or additional device capture. Right now, I actually use the Live Gamer 4K or the GC573, which is significantly older. It's over 6 years old, but it does a lot of what I needed to, and it's a PCI card instead of USB. So that is currently what I'm using as my main card. And in order for me to want to replace that, I would have to have a capture card with HDMI 2.1 capabilities so that I don't have to do the kind of weird little video setup that I have right now in order to duplicate my monitor to the capture card so that I can still get my 1440p 240 hertz to the monitor, whereas I can still capture everything as well because the captures don't support that high refresh rate. So as of right now, I think this is going to be a great replacement for when I'm going and testing all of the other devices, when I'm doing stuff with my Steam Deck, with the ROG Ally, with the Switch, with my laptop, any of those other devices. This is going to be a really great addition to that. And if I ever do end up picking up the new consoles, this is going to be extremely handy for VRR as well. And it would be a great addition in those situations. Now, PCs do use variable refresh rates using things like G-Sync and NVIDIA and AMD's FreeSync, but the way that I have my capture set up, I don't actually have to worry about that with going to my monitor because I have a DisplayPort cable going from my GPU to my monitor, so I have G-Sync enabled on there. And then I also have a separate HDMI cable going from the GPU into the capture card and mirroring that to the capture card. So I don't really have to worry about all that too much. And that's why VRR isn't really an important thing for me right now. But if I end up picking up one of the new consoles at any point for future testing, and if you are interested in me doing that, please let me know down in the comments. Then VRR might become a little bit more important. And again, this would be a really great additional capture card in those situations. But right now, I won't really end up switching up my main capture setup until I get something that has HDMI 2.1 in it. And as of right now, I just really can't afford one. And with all that said, I really do think that the Live Gamer Ultra S is a great capture card, provides a lot of value, it performs really well. I've been using it pretty heavily over the last week or so. I've been using it for a bunch of my YouTube videos as well, and it's just performed really well. I think this is going to be my go-to secondary capture for when I need additional captures for anything, and it's been really good for that. So really do hope that you found this video helpful, and if not, I at least hope you found it interesting. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to leave those down in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to get to them all as quickly as I can. Big thanks to my sponsors, and big thanks to you for watching to the end of this video. If you want to see any other videos where I go ahead and review and talk about products, you can check out the playlist right up here. And as always, stay safe out there. I'll see you next time.